And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. It starts now. Tim Stenovec in the radio booth. Carol Master, for some reason, has the week off once again. Norah Mulinda doing the best to fill her shoes. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, including our partnership with YouTube. Right across the screen, a big flip, Tim, from what we saw on Friday, where you had the majority of the stocks in the green. Today, the majority in the red.
Yeah, it was a relief rally based on what we heard from Jay Powell in Jackson Hole. The exuberance is maybe a little bit gone. I don't know. Everybody's just waiting to hear what Nvidia says on Wednesday, because no question that sets the tone for the week.
Of course, when we look at everything that came out of the commentary from Jay Powell last week, that's really what we're thinking about this week. But of course, we have Nvidia on Wednesday. That's what a lot of traders are really looking forward to. But as we really just think about the broader economy, of course, we know that that September rate cut is all but priced in, at least by traders here. But the question really is, what is the cadence after that? Are we going to see cuts into the end of the year, into 2026? Or is it going to be a bit more of a dovish situation here?
I hear what you're saying, but Steve Sosnick just reminded Romaine and I that we're taking a look at 84% odds or so of a September rate cut. We were talking about above 100%. We were talking about a 50 basis point rate cut just a couple of weeks ago, and that feels like a long time ago.
And I'm glad he pointed that out, too, because even when you look out to the next few meetings, that sort of 100% conviction you saw for 2 rate cuts this year and a continuation of that cycle into 2026, certainly a lot of people on the fence right now about whether that is actually the case. Right across the screen here on your major indices in New York as we get the closing bells, the Dow Jones Industrial Average leading the charge lower, down about 0.8%, a drop of more than 300 points. We should point out that Dow Transport's also falling about 300 points, or about 1.8%. The S&P 500 on Friday, you had about 400 stocks in that index rise on Friday. About 400 fell today. That pushes the index down 28 points, or 0.4%. The NASDAQ Composite down 0.2%, and the Russell 2000 closing out the day lower by about 1% on the nose.
I think Romaine just took my line. That's okay, Romaine. 101 stocks did move higher in the S&P 500.
He probably practiced for that.
400 stocks declined. You know, I want to tell you guys, I heard from Carol today.
Oh, what'd she say?
She's doing great.
Does she think I'm doing great?
She's having a great vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know.
Thanks for rubbing that in. Sure. All right.
There are signs of life, okay?
That's good.
Yeah. 400 stocks did decline. 100 stocks did move higher in the S&P 500.
All right, let's take a look at the sector breakdown here. Not a lot of green on the circle. The circle mostly red today, and you can see tech looks particularly angry. That is a big decliner here. What did do okay today? Communication services. We know that Alphabet had an okay day. You also had the energy sector managing to go a little bit green here, but definitely when it comes to the sector level, a lot of declines to choose from.
Did you say the tech sector was angry?
Yeah, look at it. It's dark red. It's screaming at me.
If you're short the market, though,
there's some very happy bears today if they still exist.
You could be okay. Hey, I want to start with fertilizer stocks today. I did manage to find a few stocks in the green. Had to go outside of the U.S. for a couple of them, though. 1.8% to the upside for the Mosaic Company. We did see fertilizer stocks rise today after the USGS's draft of mineral commodities to be included in the 2025 list of critical minerals included potash. This according to a notice in the Federal Register. Minerals listed include aluminum, cobalt, copper, silicon, and more. Also, did you see the news earlier today? A lot of deal news today. We spoke with Leanna Baker from the deals team earlier. A merger Monday, a deals Monday, call it what you will. Some information about Puma coming out. Puma shares rose as much as 20% earlier in the session. These ADRs finished the day higher by close to 15%. This is the most going back to October of 2001, after Bloomberg News reported that the billionaire Pinot family is weighing options for the sportswear company, including a sale. The Pinot clan owns about 29% of Puma through their Artemis vehicle. The family is working with advisors and has reached out to potential buyers to gauge interest, according to people familiar with the matter. And another ADR on the rise today, shares of JDE Peets today, ADRs of JDE Peets today, higher today by close to 17%. Keurig Dr. Pepper agreed to buy JDE Peets for about $18.4 billion to bolster its struggling coffee business. You may remember that there was this takeover of soda maker Dr. Pepper by Keurig back in 2018. this essentially undoes that transaction.
I was about to ask you when they tied up. I mean, that wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. That was when the whole idea with JAB Holdings, which is controlled by that one German family, their idea was if we can control all the coffee at these different, various firms, including Pret. I think they had a big share of Krispy Kreme as well, Panera as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. But a lot has changed since then, including coffee prices have gone up, and there have been tariff concerns. So there have been some issues.
Well, interestingly, if we look at the other side of the coin, I've got some decliners for us to take a look at. And one of them is, of course, with the story that Tim has just been talking about here. Let's look at shares of Keurig Dr. Pepper. That's ticker KDP here. And this, we are seeing the stock that closed down about 11% in trading today. It was the worst performing stock in the S&P 500. And of course, we know this is after that deal that we were just talking about, $18.4 billion deal to buy JDE. It seems as though investors on the Keurig Dr. Pepper side, not too happy. Shares are down about 3% year to date. I also want to take a look at some furniture stocks. I mean, of course, we know tariff headlines continue to fly. And here, of course, we know that a lot of these furniture-related companies like RH, for instance, falling, Wayfair down, a lot of those other companies that are all related to the fact that Trump announced a major tariff investigation on furniture coming into the U.S. And this, of course, is weighing on a lot of those companies. Shares of RH down about 41%. Wayfair, on the other hand, up about 65%. Investors really just still trying to digest what's going on here and what that means for the sector moving forward. But another company let's look into right now, that is American Eagle. This has nothing to do with Sydney Sweeney this time, of course, but this is the company is sliding today, especially after Bank of America cut its recommendation on the stock to underperform from neutral. They're really pointing toward tariff pressures on profitability, which we know has really been in focus for a lot of these retailers as we think about clothing companies and what that means in terms of whether or not they're going to actually have to pass on the tariff prices onto consumers here. But if you look at the stock of American Eagle, it seems as though the majority of Wall Street is really advising that traders hold on to the stock. One analyst has a buy rating, 8 have a hold, and 3 have a sell. Shares are down about 25% year to date.
And I just want to put an honorable mention to FIG is the ticker, Figma. Of course, coming off that IPO, analyst coverage started today. You had 8 notes out today, and 7 of them were for neutral equivalent. So not a lot of bullishness on this stock. 7 holds right now and 3 buys. Let's take a quick check on yields right now because we did see some movement across the curve, primarily to the upside, which sort of belies what we saw last week coming off of Jay Powell's speech here. But a lot of this does have to do with a pretty heavy auction slate over the next few days. About $183 billion of treasuries slated to go on sale started tomorrow, 2, 5, and 7-year notes. And as Steve Soshnick was telling us on the TV program, Katie, just a second ago, this, of course, that big PCE report on Friday that might be giving some bond investors pause.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to look forward to there. It's not all about Nvidia, you guys.
Is it about Netflix too?
I think that you're going to lead us there.
Yeah, I'm gonna lead us there. So Netflix, of course, is known as this company that took analog DVDs and brought us into the streaming age with really inventing a category. Now they're kind of going analog again. They're out creating these Netflix houses, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 100,000 square feet. The company says it's a, quote, first of its kind, permanent year-round home for fans. It's free to enter. You can bring most popular shows to life. Stranger Things, Love is Blind, and yes, even Squid Game, which I don't really want to bring to life, but
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't
do
know if I'd
that.
like that too much.
I had to tap out of Squid Game. It was a little bit too violent for me.
Did it make it to the next season?
No. Life is too short. What I want to quabble with, actually, it says that Netflix House is opening in Philadelphia at King of Prussia on November 12th. King of Prussia isn't in Philly, is it?
You're asking the wrong
Pennsylvania.
person.
Yeah, it's in
Roger.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's not in Philly.
It's pretty far. I guess so. You're a stickler, so you won't be there.
No.
So how does this work? Is this like a Soho House where you have to be a member, and it's just all the cool people, or do they just let anyone in?
It's just based on the membership tier, Romaine.
Oh, okay.
That's what it sounds like. But
If you're the old HD of not SD, it doesn't matter,
Tim and I were earlier
Beautiful
talking. This
King of
kind of
Prussia.
reminds us a lot of Disney. I mean, I'm really interested to see how this all evolves, especially when you think about yourself. You watch these shows, and then now you're actually kind of immersed into the situation here. Really, like, I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about that, especially as we think about Squid Games. But I think it could be a great opportunity for people to get some merch, of course, from their favorite shows.
Well, we do have some breaking news out of South Korea, actually. This coming from the president. The president of the United States says on South Korea that we think we have a deal here. Of course, we know that they have been meeting President Trump and President Lee all day, and you can see the scenes in the Oval Office right now.
Absolutely there. We are keeping an eye on that as the two leaders wrap up their meeting here, and of course, what exactly the trade relationship with the government here in the United States, and we should point out the relatively new government over there in South Korea looks like.
Yeah, the big question, are the devil's in the details, as Carol always says when it comes to these trade deals. And also, I think we can expect a steady stream of international leaders continuing, making their way to the White House to try to negotiate better terms for their trading deals.